He is future Pro Football Hall of Famer Steve Smith. How are you, Steve?
Hello, coworker. How are you?
I'm fine, coworker. What did you think of the Michael Thomas cell phone celebration, Steve?
As soon as he went for it, I already knew what was going on. So it was pretty. It was pretty funny. Some people didn't like it. I know Troy was on there. He didn't like the original one. He definitely didn't like the tribute. But, I mean, you got to understand that's what those young guys, and that's what football and celebrations are about. Just kind of have fun. Some people prefer you to act like you've been there before. But as I know, hey, at some point, you will never be able to score a touchdown ever again. So have fun with it.
Well, I guess I hear you. And it's got nothing to do with fun. I love fun. I love these touchdown celebrations. But when you know that you're going to get flagged for what you're doing, doesn't that put that's the issue I have for at the moment too. I mean, the Rams are down 10. You want to keep them down 10.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. It's tough because I'm all about just kind of having that kind of fun. I get the penalty and all that stuff. I think at the end of the day, they got to win, and let's be honest. If that penalty was part of the reason why they lost, well, they didn't deserve to win the game either way. So that's kind of how I look at it. Coach Peyton probably didn't like it, but at the same time, those guys are going. I mean, my man putting up 12 receptions, 211 yards. He just went to work. He put the woodshed on Marcus Peters.
What's wrong with Marcus Peters, do you think, Steve? Is there something? What's happened with him?
Well, what's happened with him is one of the things, he always has been a guy who gambles. His football intelligence is off the roof, out of the building. He knows how to play. He watches film. But what we're seeing right now with him and he's being exposed, he lacks the athleticism. And he's not a really strong guy. Like Jalen Ramsey is a strong guy. He's tall, he's strong. When you look at Marcus Peters, he's not strong. He's not quick. And when you put all those things together and you're a gambler, you get PI penalties because now you're just trying to survive, right? And this is just purely from a wide receiver evaluating a corner. He is a guy, when you go back to Kansas City, he didn't follow. He stayed on one side. With the Rams, they have him following, and it's not working out. He's getting exposed. People are going at him. People used to go away from him. Now, people are going at him. He is not the guy. And Les Snead and Sean McVay came out and said they don't like that people are saying they're all in. Let me tell you a secret about the Los Angeles Rams. They traded for Talib and Marcus Peters because do you see the guys that are the backups that are covering people or attempting to cover people? It's not going very well. The second touchdown Alvin Kamara caught out of backfield, 3 guys were there. One guy, Joyner, was trying to make the tackle. The other guy hoped the other guy made the tackle, and the other guy just closed his eyes. They, on the back half in the secondary, are not a good bunch of guys, and we're seeing it week in and week out.
So do you prescribe to the theory that the Saints just not only expose the Rams but pass them in the NFC race right now?
You have to because that was a playoff game. It was a playoff atmosphere, and it had implications of home field advantage and playoff position. And what we saw is 2 defenses who are struggling, but every great offense right now, currently in the 2018 season, the great offenses have poor defenses. And the really good defenses have terrible offenses.
So in that regard, Steve Smith Sr., is the most complete team the Los Angeles Chargers? Because, they got the running game, they got the quarterback, they've got some receivers, they
seem to be.
They've got a defense. They just don't have a kicker.
Yep.
They already, by the way, they released Caleb Sturgis today. They're like Alabama. They can't figure out how to get a kicker. So is that what you say? You think the Chargers are the most complete team in the NFL through 9 weeks?
I wouldn't say they're the most complete team, but they seem to have everything on both sides of the ball, they don't seem to have the discrepancy that's so huge. When you look at the New Orleans Saints, their defense is struggling a little bit. They stop it there. You got number one in a rush, 28 in the pass. That's such a large number, right? The Rams, they got a great D-line, bad secondary. You look at Kansas City, they're outscoring people. Look at Jacksonville, great defense. Their offense is pretty much at a snail's pace. Green Bay, you look at their defense, they're young. They use their first and second, last year first to draft corners. You don't draft that many corners that much unless you need help, right? I mean, I can go on and on about teams that the discrepancy is night and day on the defense and offense. And the teams that can basically in 2018, the football season is saying if I can outscore you and hopefully make some mistakes on defense, we'll win the game, and that's what New Orleans Saints did.
Steve Smith Sr., NFL Network, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. When you look at the Packers offensively, what do you see when you see this scheme? Because we had Greg Jennings in here last week, and he kind of put it on blast. What do you see, Steve?
I mean, first of all, you got the ultimate mulligan. You got the guy, Aaron Rodgers. But let's be honest, when you talk about Aaron Rodgers, who's behind him? For the last couple of years, they get a tight end that you think could help them, and they barely use them, right? And when I was talking about it Sunday, when I talk about the Green Bay Packers or Brett Favre, you can talk about the great supporting cast that he had. Mark Chmura, tight end, Bubba Franks. Then you got Donald Driver, right? You had Greg Jennings a little bit. You had Antonio Freeman. You had all these guys, Shannon Sharp. There's a number of guys, Ahmad Green, just all these different guys. When you talk about the Green Bay Packers now, you say Aaron Rodgers. Maybe it's Randall Cobb. Maybe it's a departed Jordy Nelson. But there's no guys on there. When you look down their chart, you go, oh, we got to watch out for that guy. You got to watch out for that guy. What do we talk about? Aaron Rodgers makes those guys better. You got to get a supporting cast or it's just not going to work out. They're no longer the best team in the NFC North. They aren't.
So now let's talk about a couple of your former teams here, starting with the Ravens. 3 losses in a row. Ian Rappaport came on game day morning after you signed off on Good Morning Football weekend, Steve, and said that John Harbaugh's on the hot seat. Then they went out and lost to the Steelers. Is that a deserved hot seat, do you think, for John in Baltimore?
Well, whether it's deserved or not, somebody hit that seat warmer, and he's on that 10-hour road trip from Charlotte to Disney World, Florida, and it's hot right now. I mean, he is sweating, got a sweater on, everything. He even took his shirt off. He got his scarf off. It is humid because you got to understand they got a new GM that's going to take over, Eric DeCosta. You got Ozzie Newsome, Hall of Famer. He's great. It's his time moving on. Right, you look at this offense. They changed offense. They changed quarterback coach. They changed defense coordinator. Your defense coordinator retires, and 9 days later, he's a new defensive coordinator for Tennessee Titans. So they moved him out. Right, they spend money. They got some great guys, but they're not getting in the win column. Right, so at some point, it's not the players. They drafted a quarterback. It's not the players, and I'm not saying it's John Harbaugh, but time is coming up, and this is a team and a city that expects playoffs, expects to win, and they keep coming up short, and something has to change.
Is something wrong with Flacco, or is it just his time? Is it just time, Steve?
I think it might be his time. It's just like in New York. It's not necessarily something always wrong with a guy. Sometimes it just happens. That's the way ball is, right? It just happens. We all have to leave, whether they usher you out, they revoke your access card, or an injury happens, or it's just time. And unfortunately, at some point, it's going to be time for Joe, and it looks like it's coming up sooner than later for Coach Harbaugh. And I think Coach Harbaugh is a great coach. But when you don't make the playoffs with a team that you're expecting to make the playoffs, this isn't the Cleveland Browns, this isn't the Cincinnati Bengals, where below average is accepted. Baltimore, they don't accept below average.
Well, I mean, they're 4-5, and then the Steelers come in, and James Conner looks as great as any running back has looked in the NFL, and that's period, end of story. I mean, there's the numbers to back it up, the eye test as well. Are they better with him than Le'Veon Bell in Pittsburgh, Steve? What do you think?
No, I don't think they're better. I mean, he's doing a great job, but listen, Le'Veon Bell is sitting out doing his deal because at the end of the day, what they offer Le'Veon Bell, some people sitting in their minivans and in their nice cars or bad cars, whatever way you want to scale it, they say, just take the money. Well, listen, when they offered him a 2-year deal, that is an 18-month rental. Le'Veon Bell understands, what do we always say about running backs? What everybody said about AP. Oh, he's over the hill, don't sign him. AP's 33 years old. Le'Veon Bell is 28, 29. Do you think that Le'Veon Bell is going to get paid a lot of money at 30 years old than he would at 28, 29? No. So he's saying, I know my value. I'm not going to settle because I understand this is my last and only payday. I don't blame him. That's part of it. He wants to take care of his family. He wants to maximize his value because he knows at some point, how about this? Green Bay Packers, their running back was Eddie Lacy. What the hell is Eddie Lacy doing right now? Where is he at?
At the crib.
Okay. CJ
Anderson.
Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris Johnson. Where is he at the house? He's at the house.
Right. He's at the
There's
crib.
a number of running backs that are sitting at the house right now. Le'Veon Bell understands that.
Well, he's sitting at his house right now. That's the issue.
Exactly. He is. But guess what? I know I'm not. My wife isn't listening. So, hey, getting a contract in NFL, just like marriage. You just got to convince one person to like you.
Oh, man. A few more minutes left. Yes, Steve
hey,
Smith.
and just like me, I'll kick my coverage. So I'm not complaining.
That's right. It's you and me both, sir. And how far do you think the Panthers can go here, Steve? They really look recast on offense, right? How far do you think they can go?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I said they need to play 4 quarters of football. They've done that. They kind of messed up in the third quarter, but they're looking really good. And Norv really has his offense going. You know, everybody's talking about, he's revamped the offense. Norv hasn't revamped it. Norv has taken his system that was already implemented. I know this system, it was Chud came from with Ron, was a tight ends coach, and Norv was the head coach out of San Diego. Then Mike Shula when Chud went off to Cleveland, Mike Shula maintained the offense. And then now Norv is the originator. Norv knows the X's and O's. He knows it. So why not have the guy who originated this offense? He's implementing his deal on there. He's doing a great job. A lot of misdirection. But the thing is that's interesting with the Carolina Panthers and New Orleans Saints is the NFC South. They're doing well, but how is it going to go when these two heavyweights go at it for one home game and one away game? That's what I'm looking for, and then you'll know who's going to be at the top of the leaderboard for the NFC South. Is it New Orleans Saints or Carolina Panthers? Yeah, it's going to be a great game.
Week 15 and 17. Do you think you're there in Charlotte, you know the organization, do you think the change in ownership has given sort of a little bit of wind at the backs here? A little different feeling in that locker room building?
No,
what do you think?
I'm not sure. I know Mr. Tapper is going to implement some things, but, you know, this football team was a good football team already. Now, I know he has allowed some players, Eric Reed, who they got at a bargain, who's doing a phenomenal job back there. But I think you will see the imprint and the fingerprint of David Tapper on this organization over a period of time. He hasn't even got started yet, so it's pretty exciting. But I live in the South, and sometimes change is not always accepted easily, but the fan base will see over time, it'll be for the better.
All right, last one for you, Steve Smith. Best team in the NFL through 9 weeks, best team.
Ooh.
Yes.
NFC, I would have to go to New Orleans Saints. AFC, I think it's a photo finish between New England and Kansas City. I like Kansas City because it's like they're like a traveling track meet. Man, them boys just go.
They do. They really do. And how about New England sticking Cordero Patterson back there? Did you ever play running back, even in an emergency, Steve? Did you ever do that?
Yeah, I did that in college. Didn't work out too well. Stayed a wide receiver.
It's amazing. He's running downhill into the end zone. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, what Bill Belichick does is unbelievable. What Tom Brady does is unbelievable. And Josh McDaniels, hopefully Josh McDaniels will not have the same success or lack of success that Matt Patricia is having in Detroit. So when he gets his opportunity, he'll be better. But, I mean, you got Tom Terrific, 40, 90, 55 years old playing quarterback and out there dropping dimes. And you got Nate Peterman out there playing for the other team, and Blake Bortles making $18 million to hand it off to a whole bunch of plethora of running backs.
Great seeing you in London, Steve. Love watching you on the network. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Right. Take care. That's Steve Smith Sr.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.